Hello, welcome back. My name is Ombeni Zagaria Tango, and today we are proceeding with JavaScript. And what is actually a JavaScript? It comes to your mind to see the JavaScript. JavaScript is mostly a programming language for web development. After learning HTML or CSS, and then you need to learn JavaScript as a front-end programming language for mastering front-end development. We can say that. So to understand JavaScript very easily, what you need is as follow. First of all, I have this folder called JavaScript in my desktop ready. So I want to open this folder, and inside this one I have these two files. Let me delete this one, it's not important for now. You can delete it. And right here I'm on Linux, and I'm going to open it, this one in terminal like this, and then open using code editor, this VS Code like this one, and it's going to open right here. Right now I have only two files here. It's JavaScript file and HTML file. So as you look here, I have a script tag with the source attribute main.js. But before that, let's comment this one first. Put comment in HTML, we put something like that. Here, let's try out just h1 and put let's learn JS, JavaScript. And to open this one, I'm going to open this one by copying path, minimizing this, and come here. I'm going to open it using Firefox. Wait a little bit. I think it's going to open. Here. So paste it here, you see learn.js. Then to put things much easier, I want to divide my desktop, my screen to be this way as it look now. And then this side I have a browser, and this side I have code editor ready to start. Now let's delete this one. You can see here I want to refresh. Yep, here we are ready to go. Now what I'm going to do here is, firstly I want to show you how to include JavaScript in your project in HTML file. How can you put JavaScript there? To put a JavaScript in HTML file, we use a script tag first like this one, and here you can write any JavaScript, valid JavaScript code. For example, I want to write console, and write something very similar, just console.logout, and then I say hello world, like this. When I try to refresh here, you didn't see anything, but if you want to see this message, just right click and inspect like this one, then bring this one into, go back to console like this. Here you see the message, and once you look carefully here, you see where does this message come from. Let's try to click it here. We can see the message actually comes from this console.log and hello world. So that's the very basic idea. Let me try to open it in a console here. So this is where we're going to work most of the time, and then that's all how to print a hello world program. Boom, you are ready to go now. You just print hello world, your first program in JavaScript. You see, that is so much easy. Okay, don't worry, what does this mean? What does this mean? I want to explain to you step by step and you will understand, but for now let's keep it simple. I'm going to delete this. Now, as I've told you, JavaScript is a programming language for web development. Now, as other programming language, JavaScript has variables, has such kind of follow, it has functions, much fine. So how can you create a variable in JavaScript? But before that, I want to show you another way to put JavaScript on your HTML and HTML code. You can put it like just writing something like this one, script, and then we write the source and here we close our script tag. What does this mean? This means that we are writing a JavaScript on an external file that is called main.js. Remember, any JavaScript file must end up with this extension .js, and then here I can write also any valid JavaScript, and then will be executed successfully. Let me show you here. Just log and then try and say next hello, just like that, and next hello. You see that. So both are working fine, but for the case of simplicity, I'm going to use this one I'm going to use this external file. It's good practice to put into an external file because it will be very easy to manage it. Now what I'm going to do here is to create variables in JavaScript. Here we're going to create variables. To create a variable in JavaScript, we use mostly 2 keywords, but nowadays we use 3 keywords, which are var keyword, let, and const. These are keywords used to create a variable in JavaScript. So how now we create a variables in JavaScript? Let's take a look. For example, I want to create a variable called first name. We just type keyword var and then fname space fname. Sorry, it's fname, and then equals to something like Tanzania, this way. Then here I have created a variable with this name and having this value. What if I want to access the value? Let's assume we want to try to output to the console. We want to print it to the console by just writing log, and here we're going to write fname. The main function of this console or log is to show the messages to the console, the browser's console, and here it is. So once I try to run this program again, you will see this message. So instead of writing the message directly to this function, we now just pass the variable name. So we are sure that this one has the value of this. So this is how to create a variable in JavaScript. As you can see, it's very easy. I want to create another variable called let, using let keyword now, and call it last name. Let's say I want to put try to write my name here on Benny, simple like that, and then log. Here we put lname, sorry, like that, and then once I try to refresh again, you will see here. So this is how to create a variable. Again, I'm gonna comment all these 2 lines now, and then I'll show you another way to create a variable in JavaScript. We're using const keyword and call it mname. So for now, please take call it m as middle name, mname, and call it Zakaria. Career. Then if I want to log out this one to my console, just paste here and refresh again, you see that. So this is how to create a variable in JavaScript. But you can ask yourself, so all these are doing the same work. What is the difference between this one? Well, take a look. The big difference between let keyword and var keyword is a scope. What do I mean? Let me show you. For the case of simplicity, I want to deal first of all with these 2 keywords only, var keyword and let keyword. To show the difference is very simple. For example, I want to try to put to create something like for loop here. Don't worry, I want to show you what is for loop later on. Let I is equal to 0 and I is less than 5 and I plus here, and then log out what is value of I here, and then also outside here I can say log out also I. So let's try to refresh. Look here, it firstly execute. Remember, the execution always is line by line. So it first execute this one for loop. It execute this for loop that it start from 0. The first case I is 0 and print it out, and then increase the value of I by 1 and it will become 1. Thus it increase again and become 2, 3, and so forth. But at the end we get a message here, an error, uncount reference error. It seems that I here is not declared. What do we mean? Look, we have I here, and so we try to log out this I out of this for loop. It doesn't understand what's I mean. It's kind of confusing here. What does this I mean? I don't know what the I is it. So let's change this keyword now to var. You see the difference. Try to refresh again. The error now is gone. You see that it prints out the value of I as 5. Let me show you. So the difference, put now and add some connection, let's say last value, to see the difference. Here is that last value. Let's put some space here, and then yep, the last value. The first console log here, this function, end up here to 4. Why? Because our condition here is 5. It's less than 5. It does not reach to 5. So it print out the last value, which is 5, as you can see. So now what is the difference? The difference is the term is in term of scope. That's what I mean when I say in term of scope. Let keyword is very specific and is only available within the function it is declared to be. For example, we declare this I using keyword let inside this loop. Then we cannot access I outside of this loop. It only accessible inside this loop. But var keyword is accessible everywhere. That's the big difference. And now in case of constant, what does this mean? Const. Let's come back here. Const like this one and say mname. Sorry. Mname. Like this one, and just write Kareem. Let's try to log it out again and say n name either, and I see the difference. Gets a carry here. Now the difference is that you cannot change the value of constant variable. For example, if I try to reassign this again and put something like this, blah 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 here, and then try to refresh again, you get an error. Why? This one assignment to a constant variable, which is called this one. So that's the big difference. I think you get my point here. Okay, so that's how to create variable in JavaScript. See, that is so much easy. Now what next is to create a for loops, if statement, you said that, while loops. Let's start by creating if function, if statement here. For example, I want to check if something is greater than something. It's just simple and easy. Let a is equal to 10 like this one, and let b equals to 12 like this one. Then I want to check between a and b which is greater. Actually, you know that this one is greater, but we just want to show you how if statement work. You can say if let's say if a is greater, we use that symbol, than b. Then what we need here is we just say log out and we say hey a is greater, and then we print out the value of a. By concatenating here, we print the value of a. What does this mean actually? Concatenating, that means we are appending, we are adding this one to this one. You'll understand it later. I want to show you also. Else if it's not greater, then b will be greater actually. Then so we put log here and then say hey b is greater, and then try to append that value of b, and just try to put some space here to make it work systematic like that. So let's try to run this function. Here it says, hey, b is greater. What does this mean? It's real, actually b is greater than a, because b is this one 12 and this one is 10, so it's actually true. So it skips this line because the condition is not fulfilled and comes to this else statement here. So it's print out this message with the value of b. That's all. So this how such kind of if statement works in JavaScript. So much easy, as you can see that. We can also try to put a boolean variables. Say something like that. We can say boolean like this. Yep. Boolean true. Then say if bool, then just try to unlog and true, else log not true. And try to refresh what you see here. You get true. So this is how to put boolean variable. Let's change this one to false. What do you get there? Not true. That means it's false. So it's so much easy. If you have basic understanding of programming language, JavaScript is so much easy. It's for all the standards of programming language, by the way. After that, let's take a look at for loop. How to create a for loop. You want to iterate over something. How to iterate it? It's very easy. You just write for, and here is where we specify a condition. It's a looping. Here we put a keyword let. Remember, once you're using a for loop, we're using to create for such kind of loops, remember to use this keyword let. So let, let's say a now start from 0, and a is, let's say, is end up to 10, and a plus plus. I'll explain you line by line what does this mean. Here we're meaning that a should start from 0 and should end up to 9. That means we are saying it's less than 10, so it never reaches 10. It will be less than 10. That means it's 9. And here, each time we're trying to loop, we are increasing the value of a. Let's say log it out and print this way, then refresh again. You see that they start from 0 up to 9. Get that point? So much easy, no complication. Believe in me, you understand it. You start from 0 and it print out the value of 0, right? So it starts from 0 and check the condition. Is 0 less than 10? Yes, of course. And then print it out and increase the value of a. Remember that it print out, it check once first the condition, and then if the condition is true, it come here. After executing this line, it's come again here and it adds 1 to the current value of a, and then it check up the condition again till the way up to the end, as you can see. So that's how for loop works. And what next? I want to show you how to create a while loop. So much easy. The same thing here is where we write a condition, and right after here is a body of a while loop, and then here we can write anything we want to be executed after this condition is successful. So I'm gonna put something here. Let's say for now condition, say just condition start equals to 0, and then I just want to print out something out of this console if the condition is less than 10, and then I want to increase the value of condition by 1. What do we mean here is we're increasing. Once you put plus plus, we mean increase it by 1. So for this one we need to print out log condition to the screen. Let's try it out. You get the same result. To show the real effect, let me reduce this one to 5, as you can see that, and then refresh again, you get 4. So it works like 4, but you'll understand they are different. You'll understand it once we start to put them in real world project. That's how to create a for loop with JavaScript. Right after that, we now go directly to create functions. How do we create functions in JavaScript? Other programming language has function. By the way, what is function? Function is a piece of code that works or performs a specific function. And we always prefer to use function for usability. If you want to use a certain code in another module different from this one, it's very easy to use that code once it's inside the function. It reduces the amount of copying and pasting, by the way. So how do we create a function in JavaScript? To create a function in JavaScript is very easy. We just put a keyword function. That is function, and in front here we put name of our function. Let's say hello. Say hello, and then we put closing and open parentheses, and then closing and opening curly bracket, as you can see that. And then here it will be the body of our function. Look here, the naming convention I'm using. The first word of this one start with capital letter and then followed by small letters. You can either use something like this also. You start with capital letter, and any other followed with this one will also start with capital letter. This is called the camel naming style. So here we're gonna print something. Our function is going to print, say hi there, sorry, hi there, or let's try something like this, exclamation mark. Once I try to run this one, you didn't see anything. In order to run a function, to get this one, we do something what is called function calling. So we call this say hello. Say hello function right below this one, and then remember to put this one, then refresh it again. You get now the message. Let me show you something. If we try to put this one above the function, what is going to happen? Try to refresh. Hi, they still work. See that? So it understands. It's not like PHP. So it's try to find this function, and find this function is here, then it prints out the what? Yeah. So this is very simple. That's how to create function in JavaScript. It's so much easier. Now right after there, let me try to show you a real working application of JavaScript. How do we really apply JavaScript in web pages? Okay, for now, by starting, let's try to put alert. It's a build-it function in JavaScript. We say hello there, and then print it out. Just try to refresh it here. You see the message. It's such kind of alert boxes that give you a message what is going on. Let me show you it directly. After refreshing it again, you see hello there. This function, where does it come from? We didn't create it. I will show you how to create a function in JavaScript, but right here we didn't create any function. We just write alert. Look, into our entire project we don't have this function. Where does it come from? This function is a built-in in a window object. In JavaScript we have something called window. This is an object, and here we have so many methods. As you can see, by using dot operator we can get the methods applied to Windows object. All these such kind of methods are useful. For example, I'm trying to access alert method here. Oh sorry, this is a method. Once you see the symbols, means it's the method, and this one with this symbol, it means a property, not a method. Not that in mind. This is the property and this one is the method. So I have this method. Look, I have also this such kind of method add event listener. Actually, we're going to take it, look, very soon. Then I'm looking for alert method here. So this one is under window object. So here, just try to put again and say hello Tanzania. Hello Tanzania. Let's refresh what you see here. Hello Tanzania. So it works fine, but window object is a global one. So that's why anywhere we write this alert is functioning well without typing window.u. It's functioning well, so like that. Let's refresh it again. That's all. So this is very useful once you try to print some messages to a user. See that such kind of notification. You want to prompt him that I want to give you this message to understand what's going on. So that's a built-in function. Another function which is built-in, I think it's prompt, something like this. And then here we want to put some message, misunderstand, and say number like this one. And let's try to refresh it. You get that? So it's like a prompt and waiting for input here with the title number. This is here, we write it here, and then it appears here. So anything you write here, okay. So for example, I want to access the value that I put it there. I just need to put let ql or var ql, whatever they want, const ql. So anything, as I've told you, you can use 3 keywords to create a variable. So for this case of simplicity, I'm going to use let variable and say prompt val and equals to prompt. Here I'm going to put something and then putting him a message, enter a number. Here simply like this one, enter a number. Once I write anything here, I can get it. It will be stored inside this one. To get that one, let's say log it out and from val. So after getting the value, I want to print it to actually show that we are really getting that value. Let's try. Sorry for that. Let me open my console by just clicking here, and here we are. So let's try to refresh again and put some words here. Here we are. So anything we type it there, it will be stored in this function and this variable and get printed to the console. Very much easy. That's all. Let's proceed. Now we also have a built-in function in JavaScript. Now let me show you that function. How can we apply it? Here in my HTML, I want to create a button, very easy button, and then say click me. Yep, like that. Just a button. Here, click me. I want to trigger an action, to set an action to this button, such that if someone click this one, then we prompt a message, you clicked me. How can you do something like that? Right back to our JavaScript file here, we can create something known as add event listener. Remember, I have told you it's under window. It's under window dot it's not window, windows without here, window dot add event listener. It's under this one, so it's global though. We can write it anywhere. Just write add event listener. Here is where we want to add event listener, but before that we need to reference our variable. How do we reference our button, not a variable? To get reference to this one, we just put ID here and then say btn, like that. By using this name, we can get reference to this button. Very easy. Come back here and then say something like, let's try to say var btn is equal to document. You'll understand what the document means. Document dot get element by id. Here what we mean here is that we are going to look at HTML page here, and we're going to find any element with the idea that we specify here. Put it here and semicolon. By this means we are getting reference to our btn. So now take a look. Once I say document before that document dot, there are such kind of method inside the document element. Remember, document is also under window, so we can say window dot document and then dot other functions. But as I've told you later, window is global, so instead of writing window we just write document dot, and here we can say get element by id. As I've told you there, we can also use dot get element by tag name. Let's say by name first, and then we have document dot get element by class name. I'm going to show you what all of this means. We can also say document dot get element by tags name. Tag names, all of these tabs are going to understand them. Because of simplicity, I'm going to delete first from this. Let's try this one only for now. Let's comment all this one and try this one first to show that we are really getting reference to this button. Remember, get element by id. That means we must put only id here. So let me show you we are really getting a reference to this button. Opening our console, and then right here I'm gonna say console, just write log for simplicity btn. Let's try to refresh. What's going to happen? Look, we get a button here, and this one, it has some attributes inside it and some properties and functions, much. So here is where our ID is. Here we have btn. So actually we're getting reference to this button. Then if we really get a reference to this one, we can add an event to it. Let's take a look here to something. There's such kind of method inside this one. See that length, inner HTML, inner text. I'm going to link all of this one later on. Okay, so let's delete this one and turn it back. So to add an event listener to this one, since we have a reference to btn now, we can use that variable btn, and then we can add event listener to that variable. What kind of event listener we want to add here? The event listener we want to add is click event. This is an event. That means we are listening for click event. We are waiting for user to click on that button. After clicking, then we are waiting. We trigger some actions. We trigger something to happen. Let's try to put something like that. How can we put it? We just use anonymous function. How do we create anonymous function? We just type function like that and put open and closing bracket, simply like here, and right before here we put open and closing curly bracket. Remember this syntax. I'm going to repeat it again so you will understand it well. Here, after specifying our event listener, we put comma, opening and closing. We put something like this one, and here we write keyword function, opening and closing bracket like that here. Then here we can specify anything we want after button is get clicked. For example, log it out and say hey, you clicked me now. Refresh. Yeah, now let's try to click it here. Hey, you clicked me. Again. See that this one is counting. That means you are clicking this button for 4 times, 5, 6, so much. So this is how to set an event listener. We have bunch of event listeners in JavaScript. So I'm going to show you all of these events later on also in this course. That's how to create an event listener. So far this event listener is very much usable. Click event is very useful. So you may be asking yourself how to use all of this one again. So instead of now using get element by ID, I'm going to use get element by class. To use that, we must specify class to our button by using class attribute, and let's say btn class. Copying this name and